Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I am so happy to be here. If you are listening live, it is the 23rd of February at about 11 a.m. Pacific time. If you're listening to an archive or a replay, I want to also welcome you to the show. I want to let you know that we are live streaming this event. It's coming to you from YouTube or Facebook. You can look for Katie Weaver, Domestic Mystic, and find it in either place. I also want to let you know that we are over in the chat room, and you can find the chat by heading over to 12radio.com. That's number 2radio.com. Click on the chat button, and you'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. You'll see my banner there at the top of the page and other people commenting there and chatting with each other and with me, and I would love to see you there. And I'm just sharing the live stream into that room as well in case you'd like to see it that way. So that is how it goes. So thanks for being here with me. I appreciate it very much. Yeah. All righty. I think that's all of the housekeeping. Well, actually, when you see that banner, that's where people will be commenting and asking questions, asking for readings. I'm keeping an eye on it. I am also keeping an eye on the comment feeds from both live streams. So if you either place that you comment, I should be able to see your comment and interact with you. Pardon me. So that's how it goes. We are going to do some readings a little later in the show. My topic today is heaven, or you can call it the other side, or whatever you want, actually. I'm not big on, set in stone labels, but I will say that all of my years working as a medium and as somebody who has a lot of people on the other side, I've learned a lot about what I think heaven is and what I think it isn't. Definitely challenged my core beliefs about the other side that I, had received from birth, from my religion of birth. And I would like to share those with you today. We're also going to do full moon fairy tale tarot. It's early. It's such a challenge for me to decide. We always do the full moon fairy tale tarot close to the full moon. My goal is to do it the show before the full moon. Well, the full moon isn't until Sunday, so we're pretty early, but I don't want to wait and do it after the full moon because that feels weird too. So I guess it just is what it is, and we're getting pre-prepared for the full moon. That's all I have to say about that. And I apologize. There is something in my office making me cough and sneeze. One of the plants in here is doing something that's getting to me. I'm going to have to figure that one out. But anyway, all is actually well. I hope that you are all well. I hope that you're warm. I hope that you're safe. And I hope that things are well in your world. I know that we've still been in a fair amount of tumultuous energy. It's been quite the roller coaster. Last week, I said I was just feeling so tired and so unable to function moving forward. And I still feel that way. I've gotten a little more done, a little more, but I still feel like a slug that's not up to their full potential in any capacity. But, life goes on. That just seems to be the current energy because I'm hearing that from a lot of you guys too, that you're just not accomplishing as much as you'd like to. You feel like you need more rest, maybe more just downtime, time on the couch. And if that's you, do it. Give yourself that. That's sometimes the gift that your mind, body, and spirit just need. So that's kind of where it's been for me. I don't know. I'm seeing it in my family too, though. Definitely Mars and Scott here at home are feeling a little that way. And I know my college kids are feeling that way a little bit too. So it must be, more than just us. Let's take a minute here to talk about Luminous Magazine. As you know, I publish a magazine on every Tuesday of the week, of the month, of the week. There you go. The week sounded wrong for just a minute. I don't know why. I publish a magazine on the first Tuesday or on Tuesday every week. Come on, get it together. And Good Lord. Okay. Anyway, Luminous is live. I published it about an hour ago. Weaver.com and click on the Luminous Magazine button. So there's just a few things I wanted to look at in Luminous this week. So the note from me is talking a little more about needing to rest. And I called the magazine this week the What Do You Need edition because I was thinking about how I obviously need rest. And I feel like I've rested myself to pieces, to be honest, but I've also had a bunch of death in my family, and that's part of it, and I'll get there. But I think part of it too is the time of year, and it's my own health. I mean, I do have a thing going on with my thyroid, but at any rate, those things will pass, right? They always do. But at any rate, this office is killing me. I don't know what it is. I've the same plants are in here that always are. So I don't know if something's trying to bloom or if I have a little mold in one of my soils. I don't know. I'm going to have to figure it out. So sorry for all the graveliness. Anyway, what I decided is that basically we're in a spot where we need to be asking our mind, our spirit body, our emotional body, our physical body, what do you need? And responding in kind. We're just in a place right now where you're not going to get away with faking it till you make it. You're not going to get away with flying by the seat of your pants, doing way more than you have time to do, taxing yourself, pushing yourself, not nourishing yourself. You're not going to get away with it. So sorry for your bad luck, but it's time to double down, ask the question, what do you need? And give yourself that thing. And obviously for me, it's been rest and diet cherry limeades from Sonic. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this, but that is my absolute weakness. Now, you can take me to Dutch and get me a coffee, and I could roll with that. But a diet cherry limeade from Sonic was my biggest weakness. It's ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. And yes, I know diet soda is not even good for you. I'm aware. I'm very aware. But I love them. And that's all there is to it. All right. In my musings, asking myself, what do you need? It is clear to me that I need to laugh more. Things have gotten a little too heavy in my world. Last week, I lost a cousin. Well, about 10 days ago, I guess, a dear cousin. When my grandparents got married, my dad's parents, they, two brothers married two sisters, if that makes sense. So these cousins are my double cousins. So they're actually second cousins, but our ancestry DNA shows us as being first cousins and their dads as being my uncles because we're so close because of that familial link. Anyway, grew up with her, babysat her kids when they were little. Her kids came to my daycare. I've known them very well, and she just didn't wake up one morning about 10 days ago, and it has really broken all of our hearts. And that is just sitting with me, partly because she was 51. She's not that much older than me. And I went, what the, our generation's not supposed to start dying? What's happening here? You know? Anyway, that has sat with me for a while, kind of heavy. And then on Sunday morning, an uncle passed, a great uncle. And to be honest, I didn't know him very well. He was quite detached from our family, but his daughter is very dear to me, and I've been really close to her. And so, yeah. So it's not that I'm roiling in grief. I don't think I am, but I think I'm carrying the grief of my family. And also, just right now seems to not be a good time for me to let energy around me get too heavy. For me, that's right. For someone else that's going through some grief and some stuff like that, you may not be, right? It might be a little different for you because we all deal with stuff like this differently. But for me, I recognized, okay, it's getting too heavy up in here. So I'm going to smudge my house today. I knew I need that. I'm going to open up all the windows and blinds and air this place out. right? Because it's midwinter, right? Or very early spring, maybe. Fingers crossed. But at the end of the day, I need to uh, I need to lighten up. So I am going to, yes, smudge my house. But the other thing I've been doing is watching and listening to more comedy. That's just something that does it for me. Again, it might not be for you. Everybody's different. But I shared with you in my musings in Luminous three different clips that crack me up, three different comedians that I love. So John Mulaney, this is his Salt and Pepper Diner clip. It is so funny. And then Michael McIntyre. I love Michael McIntyre. I don't care what he does. It's funny. He's hilarious. He's a British comic and his accent is just so freaking perfect and his skits are so right on. I adore him. And then lastly, Fortune Feimster. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Fortune, but she is so funny. She's kind of new on the comedy scene, but I started listening to her last year and oh my god, the comedy that she does about herself as a kid is so dang funny. It will kill you. Yeah. She was a fat kid. She jokes about how hard she would have been to kidnap and her time on the swim team is hysterical. Anyway, I love Fortune. So I shared three favorite comics with you. That is a very long list, to be honest, because I do really adore comedy, but those are ones that have really been cracking me up. I've been listening to a lot of Leanne Morgan lately, too. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to her. She's a Southern comic, a kind of a proper lady Southern comic that is not all that proper. She is super, super funny. So, anyway, that's what I did for my musings. If you guys have favorite comics or if you have favorite clips, particularly, send them to me. I would love to see them. It's good for me. And, we can always bond over comedy. All righty. Kelly brings us the bitch scopes for the week, and she's a rock star too. She had a rough weekend not feeling good, and look what she did. Of course, she did. She brought us our scopes. Let's take a look at Pisces. We're moving into Pisces season here. All right. Here's what she says for Pisces. She says, "You're a genius, bitch. A dream or vision or bolt of insight could propel you into a deep inner thought process and a breakthrough. Write everything down and allow yourself to feel excited. This breakthrough will help more than just you. It may be as subtle as deciding to compliment people more, or as groundbreaking as a new idea that could change lives. You'll feel passionate about it, whatever it is. Keep a notebook with you this week." I love that for Pisces. I have a very blessed Pisces in my world, my daughter Matea, and I love that scope. I'm going to send it to her. I think she needs to see it and remember that because, they're getting close to midterms. So my poor college kids are probably not feeling like geniuses this week. They're feeling stressed. So, yep. Yes, Juliana, I am with you. Cherry limeade rocks. And it's true. I could make them at home. I could even use my soda stream and just use soda water and not be quite so full of chemicals. But there's something about Sonic. They have the best ice. Oh, the best ice. Yeah. And it's a kind of a thing that Mars and I do. So we get in the car and we go to Sonic together. We listen to the radio and laugh and joke all the way there and get our drinks and come home and we love it. So there it is. Yeah. But a part of RA is that you have joints in your throat. And if those joints swell, you'll have kind of a chronic sore throat. And that's been getting to me the last little while. So I feel like I have a sore throat all the time. It's not inside my throat, it's outside my throat, if that makes sense. But I still have had a sore throat. So anyway, diet cherry limeade fixes everything. Okay. Yeah, let's see. I'm taking a look. JR says George Carlin and Cat Williams. Oh my God, George Carlin. So good. Yep. I don't know Cat Williams. I'm going to have to look them up. Dodie says she loves Leanne Morgan. Mary says, oh, she's been watching reruns of Schitt's Creek. Yes. So funny. Yes. Oh, and Lisa Schlesinger. Yes. I love them all. I really do. Okay. I'm going to jump in the other chat room here really quick. I know. That's one thing when we still had royalty, rights to on radio. I could play clips for you guys. And I used to do that Tom 1 2 News because I just think it's important for us to laugh and lighten up. And now we can't do that anymore. But I can still put them in Luminous like that and just share somebody else's video. So that's just what we're going to stick with. All right. Well, thank you, Kelly, for that scope. All right. My tip of the week is my Clarity Window Wash. When you are feeling very unclear, maybe you have some decisions to make, maybe everything just seems a little foggy in your life, things aren't really coming together or becoming clear. It's a symbolic activity to wash the windows, to let the clarity in. And so it's also, some of you might be starting to think about spring cleaning. I know, not here either, but somewhere. And if that's the case, and you're going to do your windows anyway, why not use the Clarity Window Wash to do a little bit of housekeeping, magical housekeeping in your home? So the Clarity Window Wash is 1 cup of white vinegar with 5 drops of dish soap. Don't get crazy. 5 drops. Don't use more. More is not better in this case. 2 small fluorite crystals, 3 drops each of peppermint and rosemary essential oils, and 2 cups of hot water. So mix that together gently and add it to a spray bottle, and then wash your windows with it anytime you feel like you could use extra clarity. So I love that one. I just might do it. You know why? Because you know what I did? I used my vinyl cutter and I cut all of these like Christmas balls and snowflakes and stuck them in all of my front windows. So in my 4 big windows, they don't come off. I knew when I was putting them on, Scott warned me. He said, I don't know how you'll get those off. That is going to be a trick. Well, I hate to admit this, but Scott was right. And I'm having a hell of a time getting them off. The only way to get them off is to heat them up. So I'm standing in there with uh, razor blade and the hair dryer, heating them up and lifting them up. So anyway, when that's done, I'm really gonna have to scrub those windows good because they're covered in now the debris of that. So don't ever do that again. Yeah, okay, got it. And yes, you can use it for your mirrors, JR, for sure. Anyway, yeah. So I've kind of screwed myself over there. And so I'm going to need that Clarity Window Wash for sure. And also, it's almost March, probably time to take the Christmas stuff out of the windows. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can't believe how many of you guys don't have a Sonic near you. We had a Sonic and then it went out of business and I was so sad. And then we got another one. So that's why I have to go get Diet Cherry Limeades all the time to keep them in business. I don't want them to go anywhere. It's literally the only thing I can have from there, because nothing is keto, but I guess I could get a bunless burger, but whatever. Okay. Yep. Okay. Oh, Dodie said the girl who does do your nails? You have new boyfriend? Oh my gosh, that is Angela. Oh snap, I can't remember. Angela something. She was a Raiders cheerleader, and now she's a comic, and she's married to some kind of a Christian singer, like Christian pop music guy. She's hysterical. Um, her skit Blue Shirt, Dodie, is my favorite. Or taking a bad guy to dinner. Have you ever heard that one? Anyway, yes, she's hysterical. Okay. And her name's Angela something. So now you guys will have to just look her up. Angela, I don't know. She's great. Okay. How's that for a half of information? All right. Let's see. All right. Caroline's column this week talking about when will you be happy? Finding a way to give yourself permission to be happy now. Awesome. I loved it. Sometimes we don't have to wait, right? We can find some happiness now. All righty. The Kindred Spirit Energy Oracle card that Christy pulled for us is the Seek card. All righty. So the only other thing I wanted to share was True Crime Paranormal. you guys know I have a podcast with Christy over on YouTube called True Crime Paranormal. And we have a fun anniversary today. Today is the anniversary of us starting this page at our True Crime Paranormal podcast. We started it on the 23rd of February of last year. So we have plenty to celebrate today. We're pretty excited about it. And we have 2 new cases out already this week, and we'll have another one come out tomorrow. But our cases this week so far are about Christine Kupka. Christine Kupka was a college student in New York City that was 5 months pregnant and vanished into thin air. Remains never found. And then the case that broke this morning is about Aubrey Dameron. She's a part of our Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women series. She was, oh man, she had the doublest of whammies when it comes to being in danger for being who you are. Not only is she an Indigenous woman, but she's also transgender. And that adds to the danger of her existence by a lot. Yeah. Really, really sad. So anyway, but good cases, good work on those. And then tomorrow, our investigation of the Night Stalker comes out. Holy cow, that's a hell of a case. But the other thing I want to tell you with True Crime Paranormal is that Christy and I teach what we call Spirit School at True Crime Paranormal. It's a subscription service. So you go to True Crime Paranormal on Facebook and there, or on YouTube, and there's a spot there to join or subscribe. When you do that, it's $14.99 a month, and you get 1 guided meditation and 2 classes from us a month. And we just take turns. We do them via live stream, but you can go back and watch them anytime you want. And I'm teaching a class today at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. I am teaching how to do 3-card oracle spreads. So last month we did an intro to oracle cards, and now we're doing 3-card spreads. So if you want to take that class from me, all you have to do is come over to True Crime Paranormal on YouTube and just subscribe. And we would love to see you join our little community. We have a nice growing little community over there as well. So that's what's going on with True Crime Paranormal. Okay. Yeah. I like that, Alishaya. She said, my outlook is that things have to be balanced out. Every once in a while, you have something that's perhaps not great for you physically, but great in other ways. If I last to be 100 years, but I have always lived not enjoying something, that is not living and that's not existing. Not good for me. Thank you for that perspective. I love that. I'm going to remind myself of that next time I try to judge me for, liking a diet cherry limeade. God damn it. Right? Okay. All righty. Well, that's what's up in my world. And that's all we need to say about Luminous, but I hope you guys get a chance to read all the way through it. Jamie Dawn has a great video in there about the energy of this week and the upcoming full moon. Just lots and lots of good stuff. So I love it. Oh, Kate says, I love Spirit School. Whenever I need a break from my hectic world, I always feel so refreshed after. Thank you. And thanks for being a part of our world, Kate. I always appreciate you. All right. Well, I think we better do Fairy Tale Tarot. So I hate to admit this, but I pulled the card, but I haven't looked up the fairy tale. So we're going to have to do that. It is the 9 of Cups. It looks like, I'm going to say a mermaid in the water with someone else, maybe 2 mermaids. I don't think so. Like a mermaid and a man. There's cups, of course. There are fish. There's a tree that has really winding roots. And there is a castle way off in the distance, because of course there is. It's a fairy tale. And there is almost a wisp of a woman playing a violin. You'll never be able to see all of that in the reflection with the reflections, but that's what the card looks like. I try to catch all the symbology on the card because there's always a ton of it, and a lot of times it has more to do with the story by the end of it than we realize. So, well, actually, a lot of times it kind of ties it all together. So let's find The Nine of Cups. Okay. We'll find the story. I apologize. I usually do this beforehand so I don't have to waste our time looking. But I didn't. Why? Because I was warming up my coffee, okay? Okay, here we go. All right, this is the story of the mermaid and the boy. The culture is Laplander. The keywords are reaching goals and attaining happiness. So remember that this is for the full moon, which means that you can apply this to the whole full moon cycle. So we're just asking the question, what do we need to know for the full moon? We're reading the story and then I will interpret it for you myself, but I also welcome you guys to put your interpretations into the chat room as well. It takes a village here, you guys, especially with these fairy tales, because sometimes they are weird AF. Sometimes they're great too. So we'll see what we've got. Okay, long ago, there was a king who had to travel to a distant island. But as he battled large swells in the turbulent seas, his vessel crashed into a rock and seemed doomed for a watery grave. Through the sea sprays, the men thought they saw a mermaid. She skimmed the waves and whispered before the king, "The only way to be free is to promise your firstborn to me." The horrified king could not imagine relinquishing his future child to a sea creature, but his will began to falter as the ferocious waves rammed his beleaguered ship and tossed the men across the deck. At last the king had no choice but to agree. The mermaid nodded and slipped back into the ocean. As she did, the ship was freed. The king and his crew resumed their voyage, although their mission took many more months than anticipated. The king returned home to find that a son had been born in his absence. The king was so overjoyed that he forgot all about his promise to the mermaid. But as his son grew into a handsome youth, he remembered the fateful encounter. The king grew somber and finally confessed everything to his wife. They decided to hide their son, but the day came when they knew they couldn't keep him captive forever. When they told the prince the truth, he was unfazed and determined to go out into the world regardless of what awaited him. They tearfully hugged their son goodbye before he disappeared into a nearby forest. He walked all day, catching glimpses of unusual animals as they skittered about. He finally found a patch of moss and laid himself down to rest. But before long, the shadow of a beast awoke him. "Why are you here?" asked a lion. "I'm trying to escape the mermaid's curse," trembled the lad. "Give me food," roared the lion. "I'm ravenous." The lad retrieved a flask of wine and bread from his knapsack and offered it to the lion. After the lion ate, he laid himself down beside the lad. In the morning, the lion urged the lad to cut off the tip of his ear, saying, "When in danger, wish yourself a lion. You've been kind, and in return, please accept my gift." The lad walked all day and finally found a patch of ferns to rest on. But when he opened his eyes, a great bear was glaring down at him. "Why are you here?" asked the bear. "I'm trying to escape the mermaid's curse," shook the lad. "Give me food. I'm ravenous," growled the bear. The lad gave him food, and the two rested in the ferns until dawn. Then again the beast departed, but not until he insisted on giving up a piece of his ear for the prince's good deed. Okay, that horrifies me. Like cutting off his ear and throwing it in your pocket, or what? That's really gross. Okay. Are these like Van Gogh bears and lions? I don't know. Okay. The lad finally came to the edge of a city and followed a path to the palace gates. He overheard people gossiping about the king's daughter's refusal to marry. Huh. Well, maybe. Maybe she doesn't want to get married. Maybe boys are dumb. Maybe nobody asked her. Okay. Undaunted, The lad took the bee hair. Wait a minute. Did we miss something? Well, apparently he has bee hair too. I don't see that that actually happened in the story. Oh, it does. Good Lord. Okay. I suck at this. Sorry. Okay. Then he encountered a bee, and the same scenario played out. Take a hair from my wing. When in danger, wish yourself a bee. Maybe I didn't. I think I read it. Okay. Godfrey. All right. Undaunted. The lad took the bee hair and wished himself a bee. He buzzed up to the royal balustrade and made his way into the princess's chamber. He then returned into his original form. That's not creepy. Sure, just fly into the princess's chamber without asking. Who knows what she was doing in there? Okay. At first, the surprised princess rejected the intruder. Well, duh, he was an intruder. But after a while, she grew quite fond of the lad and even wanted to marry him. As you do. But I must warn you, said the princess. In 3 days, father will go to war, accompanied by an entourage of warriors and knights. He will forget his sword and offer my hand in marriage to the one who brings it to him. The princess's prediction was realized. The sword was forgotten. With the help of the princess, the prince went to take it to his majesty, transforming into a bear and then a lion along the way before returning to his original form. But he became thirsty and paused at a stream. Carelessly, he put the sword on some rocks and went to take a drink. Before he knew it, the mermaid grabbed his arm and pulled him from the banks into the watery realm. Well, who could have predicted this? Okay. One of the knights saw the sword there and took it to the king. But instead of telling the truth, he claimed it as his own good deed. Well, I mean, he did find it abandoned. The king offered his daughter, and the wedding plans were arranged. Meanwhile, the true hero was lying on a bed of seaweed with the watchful eye of the mermaid on him. Then the mermaid heard the sound of a violin playing near the surface. Quick, take my shoulders and swim with me towards the music, she instructed. They swam from the depths. As they drew closer and closer to the surface, the lad recognized the princess. Please take me closer to the surface, said the prince to the mermaid. I cannot quite hear it. The mermaid brought him to the shoreline, where he promptly wished himself a bee and flew into the princess's pocket. The mermaid looked all over for the lad, but at last dove back into her underwater home. The bee changed back into a prince and embraced the princess. The princess told her father that it was the prince who had tried to bring him the sword, yet a dishonorable knight had deceived him into believing otherwise. With the prince redeemed, he married the princess, and everyone lived happily ever after. Except for that he could never go near water again. I mean, what? Getting married broke the curse? The mermaid gave up? I don't get it. Okay. The symbols and meaning on the card. The mermaid swims between the unconscious below and the consciousness on the surface. The fishes represent thoughts. The bear, lion, and bee are all representative of animal energies. Yeah. They stand for the libido and impulses necessary to push onward. The roots of the tree contain spirals of continuation and connect the underworld with the upper world. The woman was playing the violin, representing creative inspiration. The moon has the strength to affect the movement of the waters and unconscious influences. The castle symbolizes happiness and achievement. The faces in the rock are spirits serving as guides. The golden cups are arranged in order and rotate with the movement of the stars, the water, and the emotional bliss that is about to be experienced. Okay. I definitely didn't get all of that from that card, but it's nice to hear their interpretation. All right, here's what the author says. We have shed the last vestiges of emotional turmoil. And I really hope this is true for this full moon, you guys, because it has been a ride and are now on the path towards reaching new objectives. We enjoy the ride as we feed the exhilaration of our goals being fed into our emotional well being. We feel a keen sense of personal accomplishment and bask in the multitudinous blessings that are finally making themselves visible. Multitudinous. Okay, so there you go. That's the story, and that's what the author says. So, where do we go from here? Okay, for me, looking at this, I think for this full moon cycle, we should be very willing to use our own tools, whether that is our gifts, our talents, prayer, energy work, pendulums, whatever. I think that using our tools, like the bee's wing, right? Or the hair from the bee's wing, or the ear from the bear or the lion, that we don't forget and abandon our spirituality, but we use the tools that we have in order to get from point A to point B. I think that could also very well have to do with people. For example, one of the schools is recruiting my daughter. She has a friend who played on that team. I said, you need to text her. Let her know that they are recruiting and ask her to put in a good word for you. My daughter, oh, Mom, no, that's awful. That's so embarrassing. No, it's not. It's how we get things done. She hasn't done it. I'm going to have a kill her about it. But this is using your tools, right? Using the tools in your toolbox to get from point A to point B. I think that's going to be important the next 2 weeks. Using, in a very gracious way, who you know, what you know, in order to accomplish your goals. There's nothing wrong with that. These are relationships that you have earned, the respect that you have created. Or if, say, you have a family member that's a mechanic that you want to reach out to and ask them why your car is making that noise. Or you have a friend that's I don't know, that has a gift or whatever. Use your contacts if you must. Or maybe you're applying for a job and you know someone who works there and you want to ask for their good word. Whatever. Use your gifts, use your tools, use what's at your disposal to help you. Don't forget about your spirituality. Don't forget about magic and your beliefs as well. I think that's going to be really important moving forward. I think the next this full moon cycle, we're going to get our mojo back. I feel like they use the word libido. I'm going to use the word mojo. I feel like we're going to get back some of the motivation that we've lost over this new moon cycle, and that we're going to just in general be feeling quite a bit more energetic and more creative and better. So I'm liking this full moon cycle. It feels to me like with some creativity, we can really get to where we want to go. So that's what I think about it. That's my take on the full moon tarot, but I would love to hear anybody else's take as well. And there you go. That is full moon fairy tale tarot for the 28th, coming right up. All right. I'm going to refresh the chat room here. Let's see. Okay. All right. So I wanted to talk today, like I said, about my beliefs about the other side, heaven, if you will. Or if you won't, that's okay. Whatever the other side is to you is fine. I think the other side is a pretty decent representation, quite honestly. I've worked professionally as a medium for more than 15 years now. And again, I've lost a lot of people in my life that I have used. I've practiced a lot of mediumship with. So there is that. But at any rate, that's what I wanted to talk about. Past life regression has done that for me as well. I can definitely say uh, past life regression is something that I've learned a lot about death and the other side in past life regression, people die sometimes. And in some of my own past life regressions, I have died, gone through the process of dying, of course, not literally dying. But so because of that, it has given me, I think, a unique perspective. I was raised in a religion that believed that there were basically three levels of heaven that you could attain if you did all of the work and did all of the things that you were asked to do. At the same time, they didn't really believe in hell, but they believed in a place called outer darkness where the super duper bad people would be sent. I don't really believe in any of that, to be honest. I don't really believe in hell. I When I say that, then sometimes people go, "Yeah, but what about like Hitler? What about Hitler?" Yeah, he was like the worst of the worst, right? I mean, you guys know I do a lot of true crime, serial killers, people that will kill their children. I mean, yes, we see a lot of really bad people, without a doubt. But I don't believe that anybody goes to hell. I believe we all have our own consequences. I believe that we all have our own, shall we call it, scorecard in the sky. We have our own goals, right? We have our own list of things that we're coming here to accomplish. If you don't accomplish them, if you wreak havoc on other people, I absolutely believe in the karma of that. I believe in trying again. Then I wonder if occasionally people just mess up so bad that they aren't allowed to come back. I don't have all the answers, that's for certain. I don't think that anybody does. To be honest with you, I think anyone who does claim that they have all of the answers, we should be leery of them because my reality is not yours and yours is not mine. And we are in a fluid world where information is always changing, and we have to find a way to become comfortable with that and to be resilient and fluid ourselves. My experience when people die is that they pass through. Kelly McLean helped me to define it one time as a hallway of sorts. And I felt like that was a really good definition, a hallway, that people pass through a hallway, and that's that in between place. Because sometimes people kind of get stuck there. It's rare, but it happens. Um, and don't cross all the way over. But when you cross all the way over, and as cliche as it sounds, it's kind of turned into a joke, but it's true. People do pass through a bright light. And when they do so, you drop a lot of the fear based emotions that you had here. You'll have all of your memories, you'll have all of your everything you learned and all of the love that you gathered, but you don't cross over pissed off, right? You don't cross into the other side and still carry a bunch of grudges and anger. It just doesn't happen. I feel like those emotions really aren't even, maybe even possible there to some degree. But, somebody will come to me and say, my brother died and we hadn't spoken in 5 years. And I just feel so guilty. And I'm always like, don't, because he doesn't. He's not still mad. He's done with that. And it's okay for you to be done with it too. That's how I see that. I feel like when people, there's a difference when people have crossed over. And as a medium, I feel them and experience them with a client. There is a deep energy of peace with them. There is a deep energy of contentment with them. If they have not crossed over and they're in that in between place, they don't feel that way. That's when we feel spirits that feel panicked, sometimes angry, sometimes frantic, maybe even in pain or in fear. They haven't crossed over. And that's when a medium like me sometimes gets involved to help someone to get to where they need to go. People ask me sometimes, why do some spirits not cross over? And again, it's rare. When you guys have a death, a lot of times you'll check in with me and say, will you make sure that they're at peace, that they did cross over? I want you to know that more than 9 times out of 10, yes, they have. The times that they haven't, I wish I could tell you exactly why. I can't. I can tell you what I've seen. Sometimes I have seen people not cross over because they don't know that they are dead. They're in a really confused state. That's rare, but I've seen it a few times with spirits who maybe fell asleep and just passed out of their body and are confused and waiting for something. Found an old man in a house one time that he'd been there waiting for his wife to come home from the grocery store for a good 50 years and was just chilling with the family that lived there. They saw him frequently. And he loved them and the kids, but he was so confused about what was happening. When I helped him understand that he had died, he was gone. He crossed right over. She had been dead for a long time, but he was confused. Why does that happen? I have no idea. It seems like in a perfect system, it shouldn't, right? But things fall through the gaps sometimes, apparently. So there is, of course, sometimes people choose to not cross over. I haven't seen this a lot of times, but I have seen this a few times. Uh, I've seen it more often in accidental deaths and suicides. With suicides, it is usually based on fear because of teachings that they received in this lifetime. What does most organized religion teach us about suicide? Yeah, that it's a sin, that you're in deep shit, right? I've heard a lot of weird stuff that you're going to hell, that you're going to purgatory, that you're going to have to wander the earth for 100 years, that you can't be with your family. I've heard it all from families, suicide victim families. They have told me the saddest things that have been told to them in religious circles when they've had deaths like this. Well, imagine someone who has off themselves, who carries a belief like that, and they choose to not cross over because they don't want to be in trouble. Not hard to grasp it, right? Yeah. Sometimes, sometimes we can get through to them and help them understand that they're not in trouble, that it's okay, that there are people that love them, that are waiting for them, that want to help them, and they can get the healing that they need, right? Sometimes not. I've told you guys before, I have a great grandmother who killed herself in the 70s, I believe. And she is still in that old house near where she died, and she's not going anywhere. And I've worked with her multiple times and tried to help her cross over, and she's not going. She was a Protestant. She has a very strong belief that she is in deep shit when she goes, so she's not going. I can't make her. I'm not going to make her. I check in with her every 4 or 5 years or so and ask her if she's ready, if she wants help. No, she doesn't. Get the hell out. Okay. What else can I do? Right? Uh, Children, once in a rare while, we see children who are looking for their parents. Once I had a client that called me in an absolute panic. She was driving down the road. She passed a car accident um, in a lot of traffic, heavy traffic, and didn't think much of it, but got home feeling frantic, panicked, and had all this horrible pain in her, like in her chest area and up around her upper back. And didn't know why. She said, I don't know what happened. I just drove home from work and I'm feeling this horrible thing. I don't know what has hit me. And we discovered that the spirit of one of the gentlemen that was killed in that accident had attached to her. Why her? I don't know. She had a really bright light. I'm guessing that was why. He wasn't trying to attack her. He was just trying to not be dead. He didn't want to die. He wanted to get back to his family. He was trying desperately to do so. Obviously, it wasn't going to happen, you know. There was clearly something seriously injured with his body. Uh, and we helped him, she and I, to understand, what had happened and that he needed to go. And we helped him to cross. Uh, and he did. And then she was fine. The pain, the panic, all of that was immediately gone. And she was fine after that. But it was one of those moments where She happened to be there passing by as he passed, and he didn't take that window. He didn't go through the light. He grabbed onto something alive to try to stay alive. I've seen that lots of times. Well, I don't want to say that. How do you say that without freaking people out? Most of the time, your loved ones have passed and they're fine, but on a rare occasion, this happens. Yes. Another client whose son had killed himself in a moment of anxiety, panic, and drugs kind of fueled into a really bad place where he shot himself and then immediately didn't want to be dead and had attached to her. And she knew it. She knew it. Her friend brought her to see me like the day after he died, and he was holding on to her so tightly and wouldn't let go. And she was in massive pain and trauma. And we helped him to cross. And he was able to say the things to her he needed to say and able to also feel better, because we don't want people who have passed to be hanging out with that energy. That sucks. That's horrible. Once they cross, they go through their healing, of whatever life review and healing that they need. And they can then be back around their families as much as they want to in a much more healthy way. It doesn't have to be like that. That's when they can come back around and help their families to heal and help be guides and help be sources of strength for their families. But you can't really do that until you've crossed over and done some healing yourself. So those are just a few thoughts about death, dying, and heaven that I had for you. Um, I wanted to talk about jobs in heaven, but we didn't get there. We'll get to it on another day. If I don't, somebody remind me, please, and we'll talk about it. But I think that this is really important. I'm not sure why we needed to cover this today, but it's what I was asked to do. So, really quickly, Dodie said, I was always terrified my son would be confused and lost and feel like I abandoned him. This helps, even though as a mom, I'll always worry. I know. That's what moms do, right? We are rock star warriors. But yes, Dodie, all is well. All is well. All righty, you guys. We've done what we do, and I have to go and get out of the way so that our next show can come on. Don't forget, I'm a professional psychic advisor over at 12listen.com. You can call me over there just about any day, and I'll do anything I can to help you out. And of course, you can find me over at True Crime Paranormal. We still have a few more live things this week. And as always, you can find me right around here on Facebook. So you have been listening to The Katie Weaver Show here on 12 Radio, where we're changing the way